Keeler.
Keeler. I mean, and he has no chance. He keeps bullshitting and excuse my French, totally crappy, but he has no chance with those two women. But it's well done. It's shown in a way in the thing but it's really painful. But she goes up there and she will not stop until she keeps going and going and going. And that was like one of the best moments in it for me.
Yeah, they had history. And
Keeler?
Rosemary and Keeler. And she was not about to allow him to evade her questions and then also speculate on the stands things that he didn't know, especially with his credibility.
Are folks aware of the history of Danny Keeler?
No.
No. Danny Keeler, he's running after Mulligan. Danny Keeler is one of the most highly decorated and most dirty cops of all time. I mean, do a Google on Keeler. There was a whole article about it, about that, in fact, the most highly decorated and one of the most dirtiest cops ever. There was a whole thing, one time where he had answered a robbery on Newbury Street at a high-end, sunglasses store. And, while he was, in there, he pocketed a pair of $400 aviator glasses or whatever he was doing, whatever. So, he just, he's another scumbag and he's been around forever too. He escaped it all. And I mean, he was a media darling and,
She called him, she said, he's no Mr. Homicide anymore. I remember that line too. She made it clear that she was taking him down.
That's correct.
Would anyone like to tell does anyone know what Danny Keeler's last position was before he retired? I happen to know, but this is a trivia question. I'll throw it for the audience. I know some people in the audience know. What was Danny Keeler's last position? Come on, somebody.
A desk cop.
A what?
She said a desk cop, and I was hoping that's the truth, but with the Boston Police Department, I doubt it.
No. Come on, y'all. Somebody's on here.
I'm going to say traffic cop, traffic duty.
Yeah, you wish. No. All right, does somebody here have a Kobe Bryant jersey on? Can Kobe come in with the alley-oop and the slam dunk?
You gotta bring me on to the stage?
Yeah.
A couple of interesting Keeler facts. So yeah, Jamal touched on it. The sunglasses situation. But even more important than that, I remember the Trina Prasad case. The young girl that got shot on the park on Quincy Street. He was the investigative detective on that and totally botched that case, ended up throwing it out. Similar to Sean's case, he tried to set a couple of kids up, and it got revealed in the court. So it's very ironic what a big role he plays in this documentary, because he's really turned himself into who Mulligan was. He's one of the highest paid, well decorated. His last position was he was the head of security for City Hall for the city of Boston. So he got a little he got a how's it go? He got a promotion on the way out the door. So now the retirement is a lot stronger. So Keeler is infamous. Some of you are familiar with David Bernstein from the Bostonian, or I think he's independent now.
No, Boston Magazine.
Boston Magazine. He's done about 4 or 5 stories on Danny Keeler, and they're all very telling. It's a lot. It's a lot going on. We don't have time to get all the way into all of what Danny Keeler's history is.
Yep. All right, good look for that. All right, so what we're saying is, dirty on top of dirty on top of dirty, right? And when Rosemary Scapicchio said, and just laid this all out and said the withholding of evidence by the best and brightest. You know how they got these little slogans? I forget what, I think the firefighters are like the finest and the cops are the best in the bright, whatever it is. But like they got these, slogans. And it's so hypocritical and contradictory of the very things that they say that they believe and the virtues that they extol. And all I think of is like, Marines who take so much pride and, what is it? Semper Fi, which is Semper Fidelis and all this, ever faithful and all that. And, the violation of the code and all this type of thing. It really, that whole best and brightest, and we're the best in the nation, and the Boston police is the greatest, and we don't have any problems here. That is a very destructive mindset, never mind fraudulent and just completely just non-true.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that they hold on to that so much, how you can hold a position saying I am the most moral while being so obviously immoral is mind-boggling. And okay, boom. So now in November of 2014,
Jay, this is Jake. But just to chime in on that, I mean, it's not just that cognitive, dissonance is something that they like live within their culture or enforce in their culture. It's also that it's like essential to them not doing their job. It's in direct conflict to the way that we expect them to uphold policing in terms of, we talk about service, protect and serve, you know what I mean? And it's that thing where they basically want to have their cake and eat it too in the same breath, Yeah,
it's against the oath that they take. And that was always the thing when sometimes the cops, I'm digressing right quick, but sometimes the cops were pitted against the community or quote unquote the criminals in the community, where it's like, y'all need to step up and da-da-da. It's like, yo, I didn't take no oath to honor and obey. And, I didn't take the Boy Scout pledge out here. I'm a criminal. Y'all took an oath. So get yourself together before you running around the streets telling young people to pull their pants up and, conduct themselves or whatever. These are kids. You're a grown man with a job. You took an oath. You get a paycheck. You got benefits and your union and all. So conduct yourself in a manner befitting to the oath that you took and the duty and the honor and all this type of thing that's supposed to be on that before you are so quick to dole out to other people how they should be conducting themselves and be so harsh on those that don't conduct themselves in the manner, so not for nothing. When I was a kid on Humboldt Ave, they busting us because we on the corner smoking a joint and drinking a 40. We had no idea, this cop is sniffing cocaine. Huh? You know what I mean? This cop is dealing with 13 or now 16, 17-year-old prostitutes. I'm just smoking a reefer joint and drinking a 40. You know what I mean? You dirtier than me, but busting.
Beating his wife.
Right, beating his wife.
No, I'm saying it's an epidemic. Alcohol, cocaine, and domestic abuse, comes hand in hand with the job. And then we see things like this where, all right, you got me, but you're going to act holier than thou to the last drop. Like it's incredible.
Highest rates of suicide, which speaks to the fact that they have inner emotional and mental turmoil and inner demons. Many of their kids grow up to be, let's say, non-productive members of society with drug addiction or their own mental issues, abuse, or every manner of thing. So, yeah, they are in no position. And as we know from the old saying, you point your finger at somebody, and 3 fingers is pointing back at you. You know how that goes.
Yes,
all right. All right. So let's go on now. In November 2014, Rosemary Scapicchio, that's when the old lawyers came up to testify. Siskel and Ebert, I think their names were. Nah, Siskin and Duncan. But I joke because they remind me of the old two guys from the Muppet balcony, the old guys in the balcony in the Muppet Theater. But them dudes, that she brings them in to testify, and I mean that, but no besmirchment. They nice guys, everything. They did their thug thizzle. They did what they could with the information that they had at the time. No besmirchment. I'm just putting some levity in the game and doing what I do, being a little bit funny and sarcastic and hopefully witty. Blah, blah, blah. But okay, so now Sean at this point now too is optimistic. Okay. Boom. The lawyers they testify and they are, messed up because Rosemary is like, well, you feel as though you got everything that you needed to, do a proper defense at the time. You reviewed all documents that were given to you. And they're like, absolutely. Yes, indeed. Okay. Well, have you ever seen this? No, never seen that before. What? That's a bombshell in court. You know what I mean?
What was that? What was that evidence?
So that was some of the discovery about the prior past misdeeds of the officers involved.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And so it was like, oh well, do you think, had you had this information, would you have, changed, would that have, had a different impact on your defense? Absolutely. Right? We never had that information. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, boom. Now comes in the testimony of then, who was the prosecutor at the time. Okay? Former prosecutor, DA, I forget her first name. Was it Patricia Broker?
Broker, yeah.
I can't remember if it was Patricia, but it was definitely Broker. And now she's a judge. Okay? So pre-COVID, they gave her the special treatment and they let her come in and testify via Zoom. Okay? So they got her on video testimony because she's a judge. She's off doing her judge thing. Once again, Sean is optimistic. Sean is expecting her to really step up because at this point, she had already expressed as a prosecutor her trepidation, dare I say, disbelief, or at least suspicion of the officers involved in the case. Right. So much so that, remember, reviewing from past episodes, she had asked the officers with their testimony about Sean and how they found witnesses and blah, blah, blah. She was like, all right, I want y'all to testify to your testimony under oath. I want y'all to give these statements under oath that you didn't, you got this clean. They, of course, were like, how dare you? They were livid. The union was livid. The union actually called for her head, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. Now, years later, in this case, she's brought back. She's a judge now. She's live on video. Sean is expecting her to recall all this and remember all the shenanigans that went on at the time. She, in my opinion, and I think many of y'all will share this, she all of a sudden act real ignorant. And, well, I don't have a good recollection and I don't remember. She acted aloof. She remembers that she found one of the dudes incompetent, but Sarah. Really dodged Sarah, right?
Yep.
But really dodged the question as to why he was incompetent.
Right. Never answered that.
Never answered it. All right. Is he incompetent? What is he? Is he mentally unfit? He's a liar. He's on drugs. Why is he incompetent? Never got to that. And then feigned ignorance furthermore. Okay, boom. But during the thing, she had taken Sarah off of the investigation. Okay? The union at that point had gone crazy, sent a letter. I don't know this brother at all, but at the head of the union at the time, not the Boston Police Patrolmen's Association union, but the detectives union, and it was headed at the time by a black man, Tommy Montgomery. Yeah. I'd never heard of him before. Do y'all know Tommy Montgomery?
Does not ring a bell.
But he was the black man who was the head of the detective union at the time, and she was trying to get those detectives off the thing. They were asking for her to get off of the thing. Okay? She was saying, I want these detectives off of the case, whatever. The detectives union said, we want you to not prosecute the case. We want you off the case. They called for her head. She don't remember this. This had to be a big deal in her career at this point. Okay, boom. She now recalls, well, yeah, it was a hot time. There was a lot of pressure going on because, of course, it was a case of a cop killing. As she said in her words, my boss was up for re-election. Her boss at the time was Ralph Martin.
Right.
Okay. And there was already a pre-existing tension between the BPD, Boston Police Department, and the DA. That tension is, I would say, multifold, because the BPD was already knee-deep in shenanigans and, already involved with Newman Flanagan, Ralph Martin, and also, too, at the time, nobody was also too keen on the first black DA, which I think made him react to go along to get along even more so, which is the thing that happens with a lot of black elected officials and politicians, where even Obama and whatnot, they feel as though I'm not just the black president. I don't want to act like I'm just catering to black people, so on and so forth. So Ralph Martin was in a compromised position from the get-go. And he, whatever. All right. Now, also during this whole thing, same time, November 2014, as Rosemary is in court, this is when they bust out with the documents. And she's just, Your Honor, and the prosecutor, I've never heard a white man use what I'd normally attribute as a colloquial phrase amongst, communities in Southern and black environments. But I believe that white DA at the time literally said what had happened was.
Yes. Stuttered too.
Did he say what had happened was?
Yeah. What happened was I had a problem with the scanner. I had to send it in 2 batches. and the part that stuck out to me was Judge Ball's reaction. But I don't know if he was a bailiff or if he was a judge clerk. He was sitting with his hands crossed and face was just bewildered as to how does this happen. They're saying this is what y'all do, right? As the DA's office suppressing evidence. This is what they're saying you do. This is why we're here. This is why we have an evidentiary hearing. And in the middle of the hearing that says that this is what you're doing, you did it.
Now watch this, because hold the nugget. So this is when the judge is like, what the hell, basically? And Rosemary, she's like, hold on. When did you get this? And Rosemary is like, Your Honor, I just got this 10 minutes ago. Okay? 10 minutes ago. Okay? Right? And so now the judge says, this does not help the Commonwealth's credibility.
Good.
At all.
Okay? Busted. Okay? And so then, that's when it comes out that what she actually received was over 500 pages of documents that the BPD had withheld for 21 years. 21 years. The documents had been hidden and came with a liquor license. 21 years. That's a whole life of a child. Okay? In those documents is what is revealed that Robinson and Mulligan robbed that drug dealer in 1991, and then so on and so forth. Now, Brother Jamal, I'm going to ask that you take it from here, because that's where my notes left off, because I was preparing for the show tonight. now let us all go through the end of it. We on the last 10 minutes now. So let's chop everything up and go into the last 10 minutes of this, and boom.
Hey, well, we can open it up because I think that's enough to kind of get us to where we want to get to. And you know, the incompetence of the cover up, right? To think that they would be able to continue to suppress the evidence, and that out of every attorney that was available for this case, Rosemary Scapicchio was the attorney, and to continue to just elaborate the inevitable, which is, and the thing that stuck out to me too in this last 10 minutes was one of the lines of questions that she gave Danny Keeler was, y'all interviewed another police officer who said that Armstead's son told him that it was Armstead that said that he
told him that he'd be shot in between the eyes.
Right.
That's where I'm at. If a correction officer is going to say that about their own father, how did that not come into evidence all those years back? I don't get that. That's what blows my mind.
But also, there were 2 tips that came in through the hotline that also implicated Officer Armstead, and he was on the task force and got the name Armstead directly from the other officer. And then there were 2 tips in the files, and they never followed up on it.
Why? I don't understand that.
All right.
That blows my mind. If you have a correction officer that's going to say something on their own parent, what's up with that?
All right, so now we're at that point, and right, you had started with that before. So now, once again, Armstead is a hood legend. Okay, Armstead talking about the cop. The last time we began talking about this, we put up the movie Black Cop. If Jake is still there, if you could put that link into the chat again, Black Cop, so y'all see this, you can get a better sense of Armstead.
He's all in that?
Yes. Armstead was a terror in my childhood. Armstead himself had my pants around my ankles and my boxer shorts around my knees on at least 4 occasions, and had a German Shepherd barking, 6 feet away from me, socially distancing. While barking, and it was like Soweto in my mind at that time.
Of course, yeah.
Now this dude was just known throughout the hood, terrorized all sorts of people, whatever. So anything that they say that has to do with Armstead, I would believe it. Now, on top of that, to your point, how dirty do you have to be? I don't care if your son is a street sweeper. For your son to call in and say, most major thing like this is hey, I think my daddy did it. That's deep. That's deep.
Well, is that the same son that's dead?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Unfortunately.
But can I just jump in right quick?
Hold on. Before you do that, because we did that the other day, and Brother Jamal put me onto that information. He passed away. Rest in peace to Ray Armstead Jr. And he passed away via a car accident.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, do any conspiracy theories or anything like that.
No. He was doing a traffic stop and got hit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know that story. Yep, Maryland. No. Yep.
Yeah.
One thing I want to go back to this episode is, I think someone mentioned it a few minutes ago, but just the killer on the stand, that part right there, I just could not believe that he was I don't know how long he had been a detective at that point, but in his unprepared way of being ready for the defense counsel's questioning of the case, he turned red. He could not really respond to the direct question. Clearly, I just really felt as if that was pivotal.
Can I jump in for a second? It's Joa.
Go ahead.
So I have an experience with Danny Keeler. He's not like exactly what he was on the stand is exactly what he is, who he is. At the age of 17, I was a victim of Danny Keeler, and I had to go back and get the report to figure out if it was one of the other guys that was with him that day. But he's notorious for doing the same things the other two cops were doing, and I'm just surprised that it never caught up to him. You know, and he stood on that stand, and you could just see that, you know, the racism in his face, actually, in my opinion. And then if you all remember,
I agree 100%.
If you remember, Danny Keeler was the same guy, I believe, that stole the glasses from the sunglass hut.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Also too, outside of just regular old corruption, you know, in terms of stealing and and lying and all that, Danny Keeler has been involved in several police killings of civilians. So one of the cases, which is a pretty famous case, that minister who got killed in the South End, Aiseline Williams, on a no-knock warrant, where they bust in the door on the wrong house, and that reverend, who was like 78 years or 76 or whatever he was, died of a heart attack. And then, of course, you know, there was a cover-up and all that, but he was one of the officers involved in that. Second incident that I'm aware of that I can recall off the top of my dome, and these are all on my website, the whole Shot by Police thing, is also, too, in Villa Victoria. There was a call for, you know, neighbors had called, a Puerto Rican brother, neighbors had called, like, yo, you know, what is his name, Victor or something like that. But, you know, Mr. Victor, you know, he's a Vietnam vet. He's off his meds right now. He's a cool dude, but he's a little, you know, he's having an episode right now. Can y'all come and help him? And you already know the type of help he got. So he wound up dead about an hour later. And Keeler was one of those cops as well. It's not Victor. Who was his, man, I hate my brain when I can't think of these names because it's important and I don't want to disrespect these people.
You guys have to help me understand this whole thing. So was Mulligan supposedly messing around with Armstead's adopted child, stepchild, something?
Well, we only have that. The only testimony to that fact is what Armstead Jr. said, right? But based on his MO, we certainly wouldn't put it past him.
Okay. Because that was like really quick in the whole episode, and I was like, I'm trying to understand that. I'm like, wait a minute, what is that all about? So that's what it is.
They probably only touched on it lightly because they didn't have any, you know, much evidence to go on before that, and it's not a major factor to the story, other than, you know, it still paints a picture. But once again, we could take it.
To me, that's a major part of the story, because if the cop's son is saying that, then the cop must know what really happened, who was out there shooting them. It wasn't Sean.
But what I'm saying is that's the only, I'm saying, like, I don't know how you flesh that chunk out anymore, is what I'm saying. And so that's probably why they didn't spend any more time on it, other than to document the fact that the son made that testimony. You know, I would love to know where that young girl is. You know,
I would too.
That young girl could come forward and say, yeah, I did have a relationship with Mulligan back in the day, what have you. But clearly Mulligan's MO was like a lot of cops were, and not for nothing, like a lot of older white men were at that time. They were preying on young
black women,
black women and Latino women from the hood, who had a lack of opportunities, and they were, you know, trying to be, you know, sugar daddy, big daddy type of thing, and, you know, and taking advantage of that. And not every woman that they had an engagement with was necessarily prostitution or what have you. They were also just, you know, playing sweetheart of the night.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Kill the male, spare the female.
Yeah. This just, I'll tell you, my son, like I said earlier, my son turned me onto this story, and this is just unbelievable. I just,
How many of y'all feel like I feel like the two cops were the one that did it?
I definitely feel like it was an inside job. Definitely feel like it. Not even a second thought.
So okay, so look, because we going a little bit off, but I don't mind doing that right now. But okay, let's talk about the most credible scenarios, other than obviously what we know is not the scenario. Most credible scenarios are Armstead, right? Boom, that's one. Other credible scenario, the girlfriend. That the girlfriend came up in the car. She, was sick and tired of him being up at Walgreens, getting BJs. He was getting BJs and OT. Okay.
You mean one-eyed CJ?
No. Stop. Because that develops into two scenarios. No. Yeah. Scenario number one, it was the white girlfriend with the helmet hair.
Miss,
you know what I mean? She had the 80s do, right? His regular girlfriend. There's a scenario, not much developed in that, but there's a scenario that she was just tired of all his shenanigans, knowing that he was up there every night messing with all these hoes and whatnot on his overtime, right? Okay, so the girlfriend. Mary. Right, the girlfriend. Mary. Exactly. Right. Other scenario was the actual hoes that he was messing with, and then the whole one-eyed C, right? Mr. One-Eyed C, what have you, okay? Yeah. Boom. Then fourth scenario is the officers themselves in terms of y'all help me out now. The officers themselves. Sarah and what's the other guy's name?
Robinson.
No, Robinson. Sarah and Robinson. That's the other thing. Fifth scenario is entering any other culprit, the mafia, entering any other culprit, any other drug dealer that he had rolled off before, whatever. Now you get off into other things. But like they had also said before, this guy, multiple people could have had a reason for wanting him dead. He was that big of a scumbag. So It could be anything. But the person who had the least reason to want him dead is the guy who went there to pick up Pampers for his cousin.
That's great. I mean, he had no knowledge of Mulligan really before that, right?
Nope.
So there's so many other people. How can you blame it on this person? I don't know.
Well, to me, nothing, I think Brazil dropped them guns off at Uncle Dave's crib.
Okay, watch this. Here goes another scenario. So, scenario is, okay, shooting happens. The two officers who respond to it, who are not even homicide officers, what have you, boom. They go off. They go to the girlfriend's house, right? They go to the girlfriend's house because they
went to his house first. They went to Mulligan's house first.
Yeah, Mulligan's house, where the girlfriend lived.
No, I think they went to his person, wherever he lived, where he resided, is where they went to clean up the mess.
Okay. Well, all right. Yeah. So if I'm incorrect, we'll check this later.
Yeah.
At the point that they went to the girlfriend's house, the belief is that the proceeds of many of their ill-gotten gains was there, and that they're going there to talk to her. But in that, if the scenario is that she was the person who did the shooting, that at that time, that's where they got the weapons. So there's a whole bunch of different scenarios, and not for nothing, y'all, I am not Matlock. You dig? So a bunch of other people done tried to figure this out. So the one thing that we could all come to the scenario of is that I don't believe Sean Ellis had anything to do with it.
No doubt.
And I'm also pretty certain that Terry, what's old boy's name? I forget his last name.
Patterson.
I don't believe he had nothing to do with it. Okay? I believe that entire scenario is the least likely and the most craziest scenario out of all of them.
Jamal, if you look at it, right? If you look at those first 3 or 4 scenarios you put out there, whether it was Armstead whether it was his girlfriend, whether it was, you know, that whole unit coming back to get him, you know, his buddies, the other detectives, every single one of those scenarios blows up that whole unit, and it casts, you know, a light on BPD and blows open all of the corruption that was going on.
That's
right. So that's why they didn't follow any of it. And that's why if you just pick some random dude who just happened to say, oh, I was there that night. I mean, that was just one of the most unfortunate fates that he just mentioned that, threw it out there, and then they had it right there. They were probably running in circles trying to figure out, all right, how do we follow something, a lead that isn't there? And that just came, you know, that came to them. And this poor guy, you know, Sean, who just threw it out there, just, you know, he was probably under stress or whatever, like, oh, I was there that day, you know, just happened to say it. Now, all of that other stuff can be pushed under the, you know, they make it all disappear. And clearly they had it all because they got it 21 years later. But every single one of those scenarios would have blown open. Because even if it was the girlfriend, they were like, well, why did she kill him? Oh, because he was there, you know, with prostitutes and every night and this, that, and the other. And then she would have opened her mouth about all the other stuff she knew was going on. Like all of those scenarios would have blown up their spot.
Because you know what? It's easier to pin it on someone that's innocent, that has nothing to do with it, than to expose everything that should have been exposed back then.
That's how
it's easier for them to say, here you go, look at this kid, you know, yep, young black guy in the store at 3 a.m. buying diapers. Yep, let's pin it on him. Instead of looking in their own offices and saying this is what happened.
That's child steward. That's morally bankrupt people who, again, like you say, Jamal, like they're the people that are supposed to be the caretakers of the community and sworn oath and all that other stuff. And they're doing worse than most people in the community that they're going after.
Yep. I so agree. Yep.
Yeah. Best case scenario for me is Armstead Jr. when he said that they cased him out, shook the car, and laid out how he was going to go down, how he was going to be laid down. So, I mean, to me, that's A and B leads to C right there.
Yep.
I think Rachel should open that case back up and charge all these people.
But not for nothing. If the case gets opened back up, I'm more concerned. And, you know, and once again, too, when we say open cases back up, it's weird because, you know, the status of the case, like, I don't know if you can open up an investigation of things that are done or what. I don't know what her powers are in this. We would have to get with our legals about what can be done and all that. But whatever can happen, I'm most concerned with Sean being completely free and clear, exonerated, expunged, all that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And he needs to be taken care of from the state of Massachusetts. It's what he needs.
Hold on. I wasn't done. And on top of that, to then be compensated.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, look, there's a metric out there that really goes with it. And generally it goes with like $1 million a year. You know, so he did 22 years. He should at least have a $20 million case. Okay? And
you can't even put a price on that. It needs to be more than that. You can't even put a price on that. That's just craziness.
Well, all right, well, I'm just, you know, me just being...
I don't know if y'all have been in jail or not, and I haven't, thank goodness, but I can say, can you imagine being in that little cell for 22 friggin' years, being told when to piss, when to eat, when to go outside, when to do this, when to do that? You can't put a price on that.
Well, all I'm saying, okay, once again.
Is what's allowed it.
Okay, once I'm saying, it's not my price. I know that there is a metric that goes along. Henceforth,
I hear you, but...
Hold up, stop, please, because it ain't just me. I'll give you a good example. Sean Drumgold, when he did, he was in there for 14 years. When he got out, it was like 13 million. Okay. What they do generally, if you get a good...
die? Was it him that got killed in Randolph?
I sincerely hope not, and not to my knowledge, no.
No, the gentleman that got out and he got a large lump sum of money, and then he turned up dead in his home in Randolph.
Not to my knowledge, and I sincerely hope not.
Okay. Well, I hope not too, but I know this. I don't know who the guy's name is, but I'll look it up and tell you.
Okay. So that what happens is that that was pretty much a metric where so many years equals, such and such a thing. Now, in the case of Sean Drumgold, interesting thing, because he didn't end up getting that whole thing that he should have got. Okay, and it was whittled down or whatever. But I'm just talking about, that's the metric. That's basically the average of what I've seen that has happened out there. Unless, of course, you're white. Because if you're white, then the numbers change dramatically. Okay? So on and so forth. But, okay, and somebody in here says, no, it was Stephon.
Yeah, it was Stephon. Okay, that is his name, yes.
Okay. And whoever this is, Ghostface, said, he's talking about Sean, said he was locked in the cell 21 hours a day for 9 years, right? Which, not for nothing, some of the Supermax conditions, basically, it's solitary confinement from, lack of a better, you know what I mean? What's the difference between that and solitary confinement? You know what I mean? Well, actually, solitary confinement could be worse. Maybe you at least had a mattress. All right. Yeah, let's move on. So hopefully we'll all be moving forward on, keeping engaged in this and trying to stay engaged in this and pushing the DA and everybody else, like whatever can be done should be done. And so we just have to investigate what can be realistically done. I'm the type of person, I don't want to ask no, you need to do this and that, and it's not within the power of the people we're asking. So we need to figure out specifically what is it within the DA's powers to do, and then we need to ask for the maximum of that. Yeah. And not for nothing, on the hood tip, and I'm gonna ask some of my people too. If any of y'all know any Armsteads, it's crazy because I know now that the Netflix is out, I know that's a hot topic. But yeah, if anybody knows that younger sister, I sure would like to talk to her. If somebody else can't talk to her first or whatever. But also too, maybe she don't want to be talked to. Maybe we have to respect her privacy, or she ain't ready to deal with this issue. If it was even true, we don't know. I damn sure would love to know. And not just for the sake of my own curiosity and gossip factor, but for the sake of justice. You dig? And not for nothing, she don't even gotta tell me, or whatever. I don't even want to get into it, but but that any of us want to do some detective work, that's some detective work worth doing.
Well, I'm definitely gonna look at that video you were telling me about. I want to see that video.
Black Cop.
I'm gonna go look that up.
I guess my young dudes is off of here, I guess now. Nobody put it up there. All right, but basically, if you find me on YouTube, you see the spelling of my name, Jamal. All right, so on YouTube, Jamal C. You find my page, and on there, one of my videos that I put up is a video called Black Cop. Okay. And it was given to me by Mr. Billy Sylvester, who was the former
superintendent in chief.
Superintendent, deputy, I forget them.
Yeah, deputy superintendent in chief, something like that. Yeah.
But he was the highest ranking black person ever at the time. Okay. He was in charge of the whole thing. They had this whole thing called the Soul Patrol, where they had black officers out there, and in hopes of better community relations in a racially charged time, but also in hopes of increasing their busts, quite frankly.
That's the miracle.
Right. And when you see that, you will see Armstead very prevalent in that. You'll see the dog. That's not the same dog that was alive at my time. I think I might have got Dog 3.0. He might have been on his third dog by the time I got to him.
Jamal, how old are you?
I'm 49. I'll be 50 in January.
Okay.
Right. And I'll set up a GoFundMe so you can send gifts.
Honey, I already turned 50. I'm not sending no money nowhere.
Not even $1. I can't get $1. Jesus.
Maybe 50 cents. Maybe I'll send you 50 cents. All right, yeah. I gotta go to bed. I will talk to y'all tomorrow after the next episode. I'll see y'all then.
Okay, hold on. Before you go, Sister Rachel C, she actually put in the YouTube Black Cop link. Thank you, Rachel C, for doing that. Appreciate you. So you might want to take a link at that. We're winding it down anyway now. About to shut this down. Anybody else who has not spoken all night, who has anything to say, please, this is our last call for comments or anything like that. Please, sister, if you need to go now, peace out. Thank you for participating.
Thank you guys for doing all this. I appreciate this.
Absolutely. We appreciate you. Thank you. Anybody else now? Peace. Any other comments right now, please? Anybody else who has anything else to say or anything else, please, that anybody else has not said anything tonight, particularly, please, 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 comment now. Jump on in. Anybody who has not said anything, go. Somebody who has said nothing. Oh, yep, Miss Noreen is still on. Let me mute that. Somebody who has said nothing, please jump on here and say something. This is the point where y'all really make me feel awkward. This is such a weird feeling. Can somebody who has not said anything or anybody who has anything else to say, please say something? I'd appreciate it. So I don't just sit here looking goofy, repeatedly saying the same thing. Please, somebody, unmute yourself and say something. Question, comment, concern. Okay, so nobody has nothing. We're trying to have an open forum, y'all. I want to hear other people's opinions. All right? Nobody got nothing. All right, well, God bless. Then we're going to shut down this portion of community comments since nobody got nothing to say. And now, Brother Jamal, you still with me?
I'm with you.
I'm going to do my ending, and then you're going to close out. Boom. So my ending is quite simply, I hope everybody, had a good day, had a great day. I hope everybody, do something great today, be great today. Tell somebody you love them. Better yet, show somebody some love. Show some love to a youth or an elder. And as always, y'all, push past the pain to the power. And as always, y'all, please choose righteousness over ratchetness. And as always, y'all, please don't fall for the banana in the tailbite. And now, my good brother Jamal, would you close us out in prayer?
Absolutely. Please position yourself in the form of prayer that is most comfortable for you. And we pray. Dear Heavenly Father, from all spiritual and religious persuasions, regardless of land, language, or label, we come to you to give thanks. Number one, that we have sound mind, sound insight to look into this case, the Sean Ellis case, a situation that has great impact in our community. We ask that you bless us to continue to meet in humility and with a critical eye to uncover all nuances that would be productive in the pursuit of justice in an unjust system. We thank each and every participant for coming on and contributing. We ask that we increase our numbers, but we know that success does not depend on numbers. Success depends on quality and impact. And the purity and the soundness of mind and the intention to do the right thing. So with that in mind, please give us the ability to come back again tomorrow with same energy, same enthusiasm to take us into another episode. In all humility, with that, we give thanks. In your name we pray. Amen.
All right, y'all. Another night. And yes, stay tuned tomorrow. How they say, for the next episode.
Yes, sir.
Right, episode 6, we're gonna go in. And right after I get off, Brother Jamal, I'm about to call you and I gotta share some news with you.
Okay.
Everybody else, please continue to spread the word and all that. We'll be back at it again. And thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you all for your participation, your comments and everything. God bless. And if I get hopefully they have a rebroadcast of the video that they did tonight. I will put that on the event page as well from the forum that they had tonight from the Innocence Project. All right, everybody. God bless and good night.
Good night.
Peace.
Peace.